This is the prescription, your consultation on fandom. My name's Doc. Um, with me today is someone that I've been talking to, and they're gonna be coming from the world of wrestling video game modding. You probably saw some of his stuff on Wrestling Empire. Joining me today, he is coming from one of the best territories in wrestling that there's been, Mid-Atlantic, North Carolina. Welcome, Bootleg Brian.
Like brain.
Brain.
Yeah, all good,
Oh,
man. All good, man. My,
yeah.
my my shoot name is Jacob. I know you told me your real name earlier, but I'm gonna be honest with you, dude. I already forgot it.
Oh no.
It's a
Yeah,
pleasure to be here.
yeah.
First episode of season 2 here with the doc himself. A lot of great docs in wrestling. Doctor Redacted, Doc Hendricks. There's a new doctor in the office today, and I'm talking to him right now. Great to be here.
Yeah, man. Um, you're actually the youngest person I've had on this show. Just wanted to let you
Nice.
know you have that distinction at 19 years old, and I don't have to pretend you said 18. Um,
Oh yeah, man. I can show ID if necessary, man. I'm good, man.
yeah. So on this show, I've usually get down to like how did you get into pro wrestling? Uh, that's what I'd like to know, man. So how did you get into this, Mr. 19 years old?
That's a good question. Well, to paraphrase a quote from Squidward Tentacles, it all started when I was born. I've been watching wrestling for as long as I can remember. Some of my earliest memories of being alive was that one. God, I don't remember what year it was. I want to say maybe like 2010. I'm born in '05 for the record, but one of my earliest memories was seeing Paul Bearer get trapped in a freezer by Edge on SmackDown. I don't know if you remember that angle,
Oh,
but
yeah, yeah, yeah. That was
yeah.
the build up to WrestleMania 2008, whatever number that was. 24? I think so, or
I
something like that.
No, this was later than that, I think.
Later than that?
Actually, it might have been that.
Yeah.
Shoot, I don't even remember. It might have been that. Cuz I really didn't start getting into watching the pay-per-views until the WWE network rolled around. I just, growing up, it's kind of hard to convince your parents, "Hey, let's spend $60 on this pay-per-view." So
Yeah,
once the
yeah.
network rolled around, I got more access to pay-per-views.
Yeah,
But
it's
I just remember wrestling being something that I was always around growing up. And, when you're around something to the extent that I was, it's kind of hard not to take a liking to it.
so like was it your grandparents, an uncle, big brother? Who is the one that
Grandparents, for sure.
grandparents?
Grandparents.
Okay. That's sweet, man. So, you have you have a core memory of Paul Bearer getting trapped in the freezer. Um,
Yeah.
that's funny. Also, I'm also a generational fan. My mom and a couple of my uncles got me into it, and
Hmm.
like you kind of just fall into it that way, and I find that interesting. Do
Yeah. Um,
you? So what about it?
Another thing,
Yeah, go ahead.
real quick. Another thing regarding it being a part of my childhood, I the only really when you think of kids, you think of them playing with like monster trucks, you think of them playing with Hot Wheels, all sorts of different toys.
Yeah.
I played with a ton of wrestling figures growing up. I remember I was born at a time right when Mattel was getting the license to WWE. So I
Um,
really grew up with that first generation of Mattel figures. I
Lots of
want to say there was
articulation.
like, and people who listen to this, you can fact check this for me if you want. But there was a 2-pack with Big Show and John Cena, two basics and a ring. That was the first ever wrestling figures that I like ever owned, and the collection just spiraled from there. I don't play with them much because I'm an adult, a young adult, but an adult nonetheless.
Yeah.
But I still collect from time to time. I know that there's those announcements of Great Muda elites. I've been keeping a close eye on those. I'm thinking about getting some of them.
Those. There was actually like a Japanese an SH figure arts. I'm kind of into figures a little bit. I don't collect, but I look at them. There was actually a Muda that does a green mist that you should check out. It
I
was
thought that one was produced by Namco Bandai. I
Namco.
could be wrong, but I don't
Because
remember that being a figure arts thing.
there's a
Because
Muda
I think
figure arts, and then there's a I think that is the Bandai. Because I know there's a Muda figure arts and there's a Bandai, Namco Bandai one, and I think
I know I know Super Seven. They had the license to a lot of New Japan stuff.
yeah.
I got the Super Seven Minoru Suzuki. That's actually one of my favorite
Oh
figures in my
no,
collection.
the way
Truth be told,
the way they drew on the hair is cool as hell. Um,
nice.
so like uh, toys are great. I had toys too. You had toys with a lot of articulation. I had the
Yeah,
Hasbro's where you just had an arm that went up and down, and that was it.
right.
And my question, like, also like, how did what kept you into the wrestling? I know you said your grandparents watched it, so you watched it, but like, what was it about the wrestling that like appealed to you?
Well, you got to think. I grew up. Like I said, I was born in '05. I'd say a lot of my childhood was probably around like 2015, around that time.
Yeah.
And when you think about WWE at that time, you don't think of a lot of positive things. So ultimately, what kept me immersed in the world of professional wrestling is simply that there's so much of it. There's stuff from 20 years ago that still feels just as fresh to watch now as it did when it first aired.
Yeah.
There's so much wrestling to consume, from the lucha to the American styles of like WWE to the strong style and King's Road of Japan, hell, even to the comedy wrestling of stuff like DDT Pro. And that's not even mentioning the death matches. When I was younger, I was a huge death match mark. I was a fan of guys like Masada, Jun Kasai, Zandig,
I
Dick
still
Nick
love
Mondo. The list goes on and on. And
I still love
just
John Kasai. That Crazy Monkey is like he's on my pillars of like my favorite performers.
Oh,
Um
for sure.
yeah.
100%.
Cause like of like the past I think my pillars list is hilarious. It's gonna be it's Pac, it's John Kasai, it's John Cena,
Hmm.
and the fourth pillar of this is oh this is gonna be funny. The fourth pillar of my greatest performers right now, because it always changes. It always changes. So it's
Right.
John Kasai, it's John Cena, it's Pac, and the fourth one for me is Evil, because there is no bigger
Mhm.
asshole in wrestling than Evil, and I like assholes. Not not
Well, I
not
mean,
an anal
there's
guy.
Max Caster on Twitter, so I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh,
might
he's
be
the
some tough
best
competition
wrestler
for Evil.
alive.
Yeah,
Yeah. He puts
Let's
that over,
go,
bro.
Max. You're the best wrestler alive. Let's go, Max. You're the
Hey,
best.
man.
You get the point.
Yeah, like, cause there's something about a wrestling jerk that
Hmm.
that plays to me and to my senses of what's funny, what's entertaining. Cause if you could get somebody that's been watching forever and they pretend to be like they pose as like a guy that's like oh he's a stalwart, he knows whatever, he's been watching and his ratings are whatever. But because they watch an evil match and they get pissed off to the point where they're like, I can't do this, that makes me laugh. And that makes me a fan of stuff like that. But that goes on to say like so yeah, there's so much to consume for you. 2015, that's 10 years ago. That's nuts to say, but
I know, right?
that was 10 years ago. And what's interesting to me is you're right. You grew up with the WWE network when
Hmm.
things were being very day of. Things are being available day of online through dubious means or through legal means. You could watch like the New Japan card, the new Dragon Gate card, Stardom, whatever. Um,
Right.
you could watch it like whenever you want, and that's how you grew up. For the majority of people who I've been talking to, is when we were growing up, we just had what was on TV, and that's it. So to be on in your shoes, where you can consume whatever you want, whenever you want, especially I think you said you were 2015, so you would have been 10 years
I
old.
would
That's
have I
interesting.
would have been 10 in 2015. Yes.
Uh, yeah, and yeah, man. So like, how did you decide what to watch? And
I'm not proud to admit it, but I will admit it. Growing up with games like Mortal Kombat,
yeah,
uh, MK9 especially, MK 2011, if we want to be technical about it, uh, something
classic.
about the ultra violence always appealed to me. So, like I briefly touched on earlier, I was a huge deathmatch guy, and to some extent, I'd say I still am. I still keep a
Yeah,
close eye on what Doctor Redacted does. Me and him me and him chat from time to time.
yeah.
And I tell him about how things are going with me trying to break into the world of professional wrestling myself.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh, so you're trying
you
to get
know,
into wrestling?
Right, like I said before we started recording, I plan to start training at AML, which is a local indie promotion over in just the Winston Salem area of North
Uh-huh.
Carolina. It's an amazing school, really reputable, great trainers there. I got nothing but nice things to say about that school. It's just simply been a thing of, okay, I need to find a job. I need to find a way to make money so that way I can afford to go there. That's the only reason I haven't started yet.
That's
Um,
that's cool, man. That's cool.
yeah,
Um, like,
I might have even posted a picture in the Discord from when I went to the free class they had. If I can find it, I'll send it to you.
oh wow, so they do free classes?
It was kind of just like a one-off thing, just to show people, um, to give them an idea of what the training would be like. We didn't really go into a whole lot of intensive stuff. We didn't
Mm,
even really do any bumping, but we ran the ropes. We did collar and elbow drills. We did a lot of like, physical training, and that as just like a one-off sort of teaser to give people an idea of what this class is like.
that's
Uh, I remember distinctly feeling the ring ropes in my back for days after and just thinking, God, this is absolutely what I want to do with my life, you know?
yeah, yo, so you felt the burn, you're like more. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yes.
man. That's like because there's something about that, right? So like the physical stuff, I used to do martial arts. I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for like about 11 years, and there's a lot of crossover in that kind of training, a lot of bumping, a lot of tumbling, a lot of drills to get your cardio up. And all I can say to you, man, is like keep it up. Maybe try to look up stuff, try to get yourself in shape because yeah, it's wrestling looks rough, but I like that you have like this open view to it, and it's something that you want to chase. And when you're young, it's good to have a dream to chase, you know?
And I'll say this out there to anyone listening. It's never too late to start. Are you going to be at an advantage if you start at it younger? Of course, but that goes for anything in life.
Hey, man.
But
Not
think of it
everybody
this
can
way:
be Nick Wayne, man.
DDP's in-ring career didn't start until he was in his 40s. Am I allowed to swear on this show?
Yeah, whatever you want. Fuck shit.
Yeah,
Just
he
no
did.
slurs, no slurs, no slurs.
Oh, I wouldn't say that even if we weren't recording, you
All
know.
right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, DDP didn't start until he was in his fucking 40s, you know.
Yeah.
So it's never too late to get in the ring
Uh,
if it's something that you want. Go for it, man.
I mean, look, the Boogeyman started his career at 45, and we're still talking about the
30,
Boogeyman. I'm 30. I'm 40.
30.
I'm 40. 45. I'm 45. So like you think about stuff like that, right? And
Right.
things chasing a dream, wrestling is a dream. That's interesting to
Yeah.
me. Uh, because like there was this little time period in 2004 where I was like on the forums. I was like trying to get in shape or whatever, and like
Mhm.
there was the LA dojo. The original LA dojo was here in LA, right?
Right.
And I got to the point where I talked to people. I did an interview and I did a tour of the facility with and yeah, I was like I was set up to like maybe try out and stuff, and I just like I didn't go through with it because I'm a coward. Also
Mm.
because I had parents that like say, "Oh, how is this gonna help you? What are you gonna do for whatever?" And you know,
I
I can
mean,
see that
in that
side.
case, I wouldn't even say that it's a cowardice thing because you know dealing with that pressure from authority figures in your life, especially parents, if they're there just dropping their drawers and taking a shit on your dreams, essentially,
Uh, I
yeah,
wouldn't.
that's going to be
Yeah.
demotivating. So I wouldn't hold that against you. The
I,
fact that,
yeah, I wouldn't say
that
that. It was more like, hey, we could either pay for you to go to college and you can get a job, and then you could pay for this on your own, but we're not going to pay for this for you. Because
mm,
to be honest, that over here in LA, those classes are really expensive.
man, I
And
bet.
and like so yeah, I would have been your age too at this time. So I'd
Mhm,
so as I'm about like 20 years your senior. And so
right.
like yeah, man. So like that appealed to me, but things
Honestly, like
happen.
that's
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't mean to cut you off, but like that's part of the reason why I'm so blessed that I'm right by AML. It's only about a 30-minute drive for me,
Mhm.
which is nothing compared to how much time I'm going to spend on the road once I'm actually, out there working.
So are your is your family supportive of this for you or
Absolutely. My mom's supportive of it
oh
wholeheartedly, and I'll break it down by the numbers. AML, I believe they charged like 200 or 250 to get started with them, but after that it's only about maybe $20 a week for the classes, which is not
that's
bad at all when you
that's
look at
crazy.
other classes in the area, especially when you consider who's training you. I forget the name of the other guy who does a little bit of everything, does managerial, does backstage work, does in-ring
Yeah.
stuff. But the other guy who trains is Beer City Bruiser, which some of you may have seen in Ring of Honor. You may have seen him. He's done extra work in WWE. He's he's a good guy, man. And I got the chance to speak to him when I went to that sort of free introductory class.
Yeah, he seems like a
And
solid guy.
yeah, he's a solid guy, man. I got nothing but good things to say about that school, and I'm not just putting them over because that's where I plan to attend. I'm putting them over because I genuinely I genuinely like the people there, you know?
Yeah. Um, my my goodness, man. That's good to hear that your family supports you in this. And I wholeheartedly believe in like if your child or someone like in your life has something that they're striving for and something that they believe in, it's feels good to encourage them to do what they want to do as long as it's not destructive. Um, sorry to sound like a dad, but
No, it's good, man.
but like yeah, man. You talk about how you like the super hardcore, bloody, ultra violent stuff, right? What
hmm
about that? I know like there's like a visual feeling of seeing like the blood drip down or like when the like say when somebody takes that bump on the knife board like I'm not sure if you saw the Desperado match this year where he fell onto the knives board and when he got up like all the blood was dripping off of him. What about that was like made you say more?
Mm, I think a lot of it is just out of respect for how far these guys are willing to push their bodies because um it's a combination of that and just the fact that I was exposed to fictionalized gore at an early age. Because like I said, Mortal Kombat 9 or 2011, if you want to call it that,
Yeah.
I that was a game that I played a lot. Like a lot of my core memories is me playing that. I shit you not, me playing that with my grandma. We
Yeah.
would play Mortal Kombat together and beat the piss out of each other.
Hey,
And
let me tell you this, man. Um,
yeah.
one of my favorite Christmas gifts, my grandma, my Lola, she got
Mhm.
me she got me and my little sibling, we got because we kept asking for it, we got Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. And
Oh,
so she bought that game for us. And so I just sing a through line here, bro. I got you, man. I understand completely. I understand completely. And I also
Yeah.
like I grew up watching, stuff like ECW or Cactus Jack, that kind of stuff. So like I understand like how to a young mind like seeing like the chair shots, the ladders, the thumbtacks, the glass, how that shit like it hits with you and you think it's
Hmm.
cool. And like I think a lot of the times what we see like what we saw before for online is some
Right.
wrestlers so in Japan, right? Because I'm
Hmm.
an old head, we call this style garbage wrestling, not because it's shit, but because there's a bunch of weapons in the ring and they make a mess because of all the weapons, the debris, all that stuff.
Hmm.
And like what you get from people is sure people look down on the style because there's guys who do the style that aren't really well, yeah, they're not really good wrestlers or they're not like because there are a lot that are just like doing the spots just to do the spots like
Right.
yeah, and like but there's also wrestlers who are just shitty wrestlers too who don't do that. But there's like
I think
yeah, go ahead.
I think one of the most beautiful things about pro wrestling is the ability that it has to make people feel something.
Yeah,
You can feel stronger emotions watching pro wrestling. It's comparable to watching a really well put together movie. And you talk about garbage wrestling. I'd say one of the biggest names in that style was, of course, Atsushi Onita.
yeah.
And you know, the
He was good
promos that
though.
he would cut after every match,
Pour
you
water on
know,
his head, cry, say like
exactly.
next time I do this I might die, so I'm gonna do my best to make sure that everyone is enjoying themselves, even if I have
Right.
to die to do it. So yeah, there's generally there's a reason that he was I think he was just right under New Japan and All Japan, or sometimes over All Japan as far as drawing. I think he would make a lot. He would draw so money to like Yokohama Arena, places like that, doing his style. And he is,
Absolutely.
and people just don't really see the ultra violent style, the hardcore style, whatever you call it, as like a viable thing. But we see it today still, like in whether it be in Zona 23. I love Zona. They film in a junkyard, but they
Hell
film in
yeah.
a junkyard, but they have like the best production value. Because you were talking
Hmm.
about like how like it's like wrestling is like a movie, and to me, a
Hmm.
big part of a movie is how it feels when you're watching it. It looks like you're in the setting, and so in Zona 23, you're in the setting with the junkyard, all those people just being loud. You see the cars, you hear the junkyard dogs in the background barking. I love that dog. He's such a cute
And
dog.
and on that note, I will always love whether it's music, professional wrestling, hell, even stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
Small, intimate venues. I know we recently touched on just the widespread success of FMW with Atsushi Onita, but on a personal note, I will always be a fan of those smaller, intimate venues with a really passionate crowd. You look at stuff like early Ring of Honor, which I feel like its legacy is now living on through modern DPW.
Yeah. Like I used to go to Reseda for BWG.
Oh man,
Ju-
I can't even imagine what it must have been like being in the crowd during that. I've had what was it, "Hang Me from the Moon," that song they used to use a lot during hype videos for PWG. I've had that song on my Spotify loop for like 3 days straight now.
And it's so weird, dude, is yeah.
Hang me from the
You
moon.
you see like so I went there from like the beginning when they were like in the Jewish rec center until like
Right.
and then there was a spot like before Reseda which was like for me that was better because it was ventilated, you had AC, you're not like stuck. I mean, you still have that thing where like everybody's there, but you're not just stuck into the thing. But then in Reseda, you're just packed in there. And it was
Right.
funny to me to see like people like celebrities in there, like Sofia Vergara wearing
Hmm.
like such a nice dress, and she's so beautiful. Like, and Joe Manganiello, just those people in the same audience as like a big those big mutants, like like wrestling
Hmm.
fans. But
Yeah, yeah, wrestling fans.
Joe is actually a really cool guy. It was him and a bunch of other people that come from like filming, whatever that True Blood or something. And then like
Mhm.
you'd also have like and like Rhonda, Shayna, Marina, all there
Wait,
filming front
Rousey?
row.
Ronda Rousey?
Yeah, yeah, she will go to shows.
I I I had no clue she was at PWG shows back in the day.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I also like one of my training partners in jiu-jitsu was Marina. Really cool chick.
Nice.
So you see when you go into those venues, and then if you
Mhm.
look on the video, like you see like how it feels like you're there, and it's like kind of like it's like you're in a mosh pit, or and
Yeah.
you're just like raging with each other, and like you just have like this there's just this sense of community, you know. And have you I know you've gone to shows, so like what's your favorite memory for a live show that you've been to?
Um Absolutely. Like you mentioned, how it feels almost like a mosh pit.
Yeah, because we're standing
Uh,
elbow to elbow, you know.
to uh, This is gonna contradict some of the stuff I've said. I'm well aware of that fact, but one of my favorite memories, ironically, despite all this love that I've spent, all this praise that I've spent talking about small arena shows, one of my favorite memories actually comes from a big arena show.
Cool, man.
AEW Revolution. I think it was either last year or
You went to
2023.
the
I don't
Sting.
remember off the top of my
You
head.
went to the Sting
But when
return.
Sting,
Oh,
yes, yeah, that's the one. Sting's retirement, Greensboro, North Carolina.
Greensboro, North Carolina.
From North Carolina.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, man,
I
you say
mean,
that, but that match was ultra violent.
yeah. Yeah, that Darby bump when he
Real
did
glass.
the swanton off the ladder through the glass, that was absolutely nuts to see live.
Yeah. So, what was
Uh
it about the live experience for you that Revolution just stood out for you? What was
well, I mean, with Revolution, it was kind of the gravity of the situation that stood out to me more than anything. I have been to shows before. I have been to shows where the crowd was just as active, if not more.
it? Yeah.
You know, I've been to packed shows at DPW. Well, not shows plural, but I've been to one DPW show. I intend to go to the next one at the Durham Armory. But you know,
Yeah.
it's the fact that we're seeing Sting retire, someone who I wasn't even alive when he was at his prime. You know, I grew up seeing him in fucking TNA. You know, uh,
TNA and WWE.
right. Well, the less said about his WWE run, the better. But um, knowing that I was there to witness history just
Hmm.
sticks in my mind more than anything. Quite frankly.
Okay. Yeah. And there's like so like if you watch a live, right? There's the moment after the VTR where he goes, "It's showtime" for the last time,
Yeah.
and it goes quiet, and then it goes to the audience. It goes quiet. Then he does the woo, goes to the audience, and then you hear the audience like have an audible roar after that. Like
Yeah.
like you go, yeah, you hear that, right?
God,
And
I can still feel the tingling in my ear from that when I really stop and remember it.
yeah, so
It's
I know like AEW always gets shit on for their audio, and they should, because what the fuck? I went to Revolution this year in LA,
I
and
mean,
what I
their
hear,
audio's getting better though,
it's getting
right?
better, yeah.
It wasn't that it was a big issue during the early days of Dynamite, like maybe the first year or so.
I mean, it was still
But
last year when they were doing those giant arenas for no reason.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because like you could mic it no matter how well you mic it. The If it's an empty arena, even though like they're curtaining it off for like whatever, it's still a big empty space. So those cheers are gonna Yeah. So anyway, that
Exactly.
that goes beyond to the point. But like you, yeah, there's just like when you're in the crowd and you feel like something and you feel like something's happening, like for you it was like that Sting entrance and all that stuff. And it's just like something palpable is there. And like when you try to explain it to, because I took my wife for the longest time, she asked me why I would watch this, right?
Hmm.
And then so she got into Total Divas, and then I was like, okay, so I won these tickets to SummerSlam. Want to go with me? And then she said, yeah, sure, because Bryan and Cena were like main characters on that show, right? And then when she saw it, and then she saw Brock Lesnar and all this stuff, and then she's like, okay, I get it, because you feel like the energy of the crowd, or like people go crazy. I feel like that's an easier sell than just like watching it on TV. But I
Absolutely.
digress. Yeah.
And and the craziest thing is that that energy of the crowd can transcend the physical space of being there live. Um, uh, we were talking about early memories earlier when we touched on, Edge trapping Paul Bearer in a freezer or whatever.
Yeah.
I remember clear as day, 2016 when Shane McMahon returned to WWE,
Okay.
and in hindsight we can shit on him as much as we want. In hindsight, we can say, oh yeah, he overstayed his welcome. His heel character as GM of SmackDown Live wasn't that good, but at the time, everybody was going fucking crazy over it. And I try to contain myself when I'm watching at home for the sake of my grandpa. He doesn't like it when I'm loud, honestly, fair enough.
Mm.
But God, I went absolutely ballistic when Shane O'Mac returned.
Oh man, Shane went
Because,
banana.
I like I said earlier, I grew up watching hardcore stuff, and even if he wasn't the bloodiest guy in the ring,
Oh
just the insanity of what he was doing. I mean, who was diving from the heights of Shane McMahon?
man.
You know?
You know, like I get it, dude. Yeah, I like that Shane would take these risks that he didn't need to ever because he's already taken care of. But he still went out there, got dropped on his head, like even into like when his comeback, when he got that spear from Roman and he got
Right.
like a grade 2 concussion from it. It's just
Hmm.
like this guy is willing to go out there and put himself on the line, and even if he's not like the best, he's still putting in an effort. And you could
And
see that and the crowd loved him. That's the thing. The crowd
mhm,
loved him all the
absolutely.
yeah.
And and I don't intend to get too political on your podcast. I know that, quite frankly, this isn't that kind of podcast.
Yeah.
But you look at TKO as a corporation, and you look at all the money that they have. Why the fuck can't they pay Jim Johnston to do
Be,
the theme songs?
well,
They have the money, but it's all about these profit
well,
margins. It's all about how much money can we make out of this? How much can we return to our shareholders? Shane McMahon was a guy who was going out there, could have had the
yeah,
easiest job in the world, but he went out there and did it for the fucking love of the game.
yeah.
And that's what I want to see more of in wrestling.
Did you know what the new news is on TKO and UFC? They're gonna use
Oh,
Def
brother, they
Rebel.
got Def Rebel to do UFC theme songs. I heard
Yeah.
about that on Twitter earlier
Oh my
today.
God. Uh,
Yeah,
so
yeah, I'll
there's
stick to watching Pride FC
oh man.
reruns.
Well, like I stopped watching UFC because it became pretty much a MAGA rally, and to each their own,
Right.
but I just want to see people talk about, I don't want to hear people talk about their politics. I want to hear people say, that fight didn't impress me, and say stuff like that, or say like, yeah, I'm gonna fuck you till you love me and stuff like that, or
Well,
like
that's a Mike Tyson quote, isn't it?
I know that's Mike Tyson's quote. I mean,
Yes.
like when Kale would say like, "Oh yeah, he's gonna go and play in the dirt and stuff," that was gross. That really was
Right.
gross. But
Hmm.
like now we're never gonna get that kind of stuff because it's all now like used for propaganda, and that kind of sucks.
And that's why I'd like to take the time to say that, I'm putting the cart before the horse, and I fully recognize that I'm getting way too ahead of myself.
Yeah,
But
you're
let me say
19,
it.
man.
Let
You
me say
can.
let me say it for the record now. I do not intend to ever work for World Wrestling Entertainment Incorporated. I do not intend to ever work for them. They're going to have to offer me a lot of zeros because seeing the state of that company today, where like you said, all the MAGA stuff that's invading UFC is starting to invade WWE as well.
Yeah, they
And
it's gonna be it's gonna get worse. It's gonna get worse. And right now, I know you're saying this. I know you're
mhm,
saying this, but there's you're 19. You're 19.
mhm.
19. I also wear a Che Guevara shirt, so I get it. I get it. So and like a lot of this is all
Mhm.
performative stuff,
Right.
and there's just it's gross. I don't want to support it, but there's still guys on that roster that I enjoy watching. There's still people on that roster that can still put on a performance,
Oh hell
and
yeah!
but like I'm not gonna
Shout out
support
to Ludwig Kaiser, man. One of the Ludwig Kaiser, Marcel Barthel, whatever you know him as, one of the most slept on people on the entire WWE roster.
Axel
You know, they're
Dieter Jr.
like you said, there's a lot of guys on the WWE roster where I may not support the company and the people leading it, but there's a lot of great talent that just so happens to be within that company. You know, Karrion Cross, all the promo work that he's been doing on Twitter and stuff. I absolutely adore that stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, Penta, Ray Phoenix. There's a lot of great people in the WWE system that I'm not going to hate on them because at the end of the day, it does offer an ability to earn money that
yeah.
outside of maybe AEW, you might not get the chance to earn that level of money
Hey,
elsewhere.
hey,
And
if you want to get into it right now, I feel like
mhm,
because of this, them buying AAA, all those promotions in Japan banding together, all those
mhm.
promotions in Japan and CMLL and Rev Pro and
Mhm.
AEW and people miss out on this, but MLW is part of that whole thing. It's
Oh
all
yeah,
like it's all like there's gonna be like there's a whole shift right now. And
right.
like one of the big fears right now is like WWE global saturation because there is that thing of Triple H with that map showing NXT Africa, NXT India, but like
Oh brother,
they bought Triple A. That'd be like if
right.
they bought
And
Triple A.
that's not even beginning to mention the damage that they did to the United Kingdom's independent wrestling scene.
Oh
I
yeah,
will. I love the fact that AEW is partnering with CMLL. You know, Tony Khan, he comes from that Khan family. He comes from billionaires. If he wanted to, he could buy CMLL outright if he wanted to. And, you know, I try not to get I'm not going to get too political on this podcast, but the stuff I say might give you an idea of where I lean. The fact that he's partnering with them instead of buying them outright the way that WWE did
yeah,
with AAA, I I admire that
yeah,
because we don't need monopolies in professional wrestling,
yeah,
and WWE's attempt to monopolize that industry, you know, to call it what it is, it's sickening.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's really gross. And yeah, man, I love that. I love talking to young people because
yes,
young people are very, how can I say it, passionate. They're passionate about
right.
their interest. They're passionate about,
Brother, I'm 19 and I've already lived through two fucking recessions. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Of course I'm gonna be passionate.
yeah. And it's like, man, we can talk about all that, and like
Mhm.
it's amazing to me that it's funny, like we're we're kind of hitting like on same things, and like I'm reliving it through you, and I'm 20 years
Mhm.
older than you, and you're going through kind of the same kind of things. And like a lot of this podcast is making a connection with people and letting people know, other people know, like you're lucky, right? You feel you're lucky
Right.
that you're a wrestling fan and you have other people in your life that are wrestling fans, right?
Yeah, and I'm lucky that I have people that support me. You
Yeah,
know, I not to get too much into my personal business, but a lot of job hopping has occurred within my time as someone who works and pays taxes and does all that shit.
yeah, you're
You
young.
know, there's with the time that I've spent in between jobs before, if I didn't have a supportive family, you know, there if I didn't have support from my family, I'd be out on the streets. I'm just going to say it point blank.
Yeah.
There I fully acknowledge the fact that there's privilege with that. The fact
Yeah.
that I do have a roof over my head, the fact that I don't have rent to worry about.
Hey man,
You know,
you're loved.
I
You're loved, okay?
yes,
You're loved.
wholeheartedly.
You're so
Yes,
loved.
I am loved,
And
and it feels great to be
yeah.
loved.
I like I also there's a lot of wrestling fans out there. There's some wrestling fans that I talk to where they don't feel comfortable sharing their fandom or they don't have anybody to talk to. And like I like letting people know like that there is a person out there that love that
Right.
when it comes to pro wrestling and the pro wrestling fans, even if we're not watching the same thing, if you're watching wrestling, there's another person that also likes the wrestling you watch, or just likes the whole medium. So there's somebody
Mhm.
that you can, there is always somebody that you can connect with, and that's why I like stuff like Reddit, the forums, Discords.
Mhm.
It's all like it all like brings us as a community. It makes us have a community. It lets us know like that we're not alone. And
Mhm.
since you're young, and we were talking about this earlier, you're talking about how you were modding like Wrestling Empire and stuff like that. So like, what
Wrestling
made
Revolution
Wrestling
3D, that was
Revolution
the one that
3D?
was out at the time.
Yeah, Wrestling Revolution 3D. So my question
Yes.
is like, how did you like even like think about that? Like, is game modding something like that's popular among like kids your age? I know like Roblox, Minecraft, stuff like that, but
Um,
like,
I I think it all started with Scratch. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Scratch. It's
mm,
by MIT.
okay,
It's a block-based coding language primarily targeted towards kids.
all right.
Uh, I don't know. I don't know if we were recording when I mentioned this, but how I used to go under the alias Jakeinator LS.
Oh, okay.
You can still go on Scratch right now. You can find WWE WrestleMania by Jakeinator LS and WWE Roadblock by Jakeinator LS. Those are two games on Scratch right now that were made by me.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, and then that's not even getting into the unfinished WWE SummerSlam beta that I started working on very late last year.
Okay.
But you talk about what got me into modding, and I'll tell you straight up, it was the accessibility of it. Because with Wrestling Revolution 3D,
Mm,
you look at other games, you look at maybe the SVR series, you look at other games where you got to download multiple new programs, you got to download all sorts of new stuff, maybe even learn a slight bit of coding,
yeah.
scour the forums for certain tools to patch the game. There's a lot of stuff that goes into modding that. With Wrestling Revolution 3D, it's as simple as adding new textures. Before I even had a cracked copy of Pixlr, that was
Mm,
a web photo editing software that I used to use a lot. I'd hop in that, and I'd be able to create new textures for Wrestling Revolution 3D, and just how accessible it was. That's what got me into it more than anything, because I got kind of that gifted kid burnout. You know what I mean? Where I where if something takes too much effort for me to learn, the chances of me actually following through with it are minimal.
mm,
So something as easy as just doing texture replacements in Wrestling Revolution 3D, that extends to the texture replacements in King of Colosseum 2 that I'm doing now.
that's cool,
Uh,
man.
yeah.
I never figured how to do those texture dumps for like No Mercy and all that, where it's like so many files, and then like I was like, I don't want to do
Oh,
this
I can
anymore.
teach you. I can teach you after we finish recording
Oh,
if you want.
oh yeah, no, I gave up on that dream long time ago, man. I gave up on that. I just play. I just play the Freem. I
Hmm.
for your gut for the King of Colosseum stuff.
Yeah.
I applied the patches using PCCX whatever. That's
Hmm.
easy to me. That's easy. That's like,
Right.
but using the Project 64 compiler, we're getting into we're getting into inside baseball stuff here. But I'm
Yes.
hoping someone's popping for this. Shout out Key. How you doing, Key?
I'll admit I struggle with the hex editing.
Yeah.
I know that I want to say a couple months ago I started trying to get into the move hacking
Oh yeah.
on No Mercy because I had been a huge fan of Fire Pro. I had been a huge fan of the Movecraft. In that, if you're familiar with Movecraft in Fire Pro Wrestling World, there is
Love that game.
a move editor that is very similar to Movecraft. Currently, it is only available through subscribing to Retro Randy Price's Patreon page.
Mm.
It is worth the like $5 or whatever. Honestly, quite frankly, he could sell that for 20 and it'd still be worth it
It's
because it's
just
such a powerful tool.
yeah. It's
And
I remember in the old SmackDown games, right? They had create a move, and I never knew why they took that out of the game. Because when you see these
uh,
things animated,
mhm,
it's like a cool feeling to see like, okay, I put this spec, like even in Movecraft, like in Fire Pro, when you're doing
mhm,
this that and that, and you're seeing like your work come together, and like it's such a it's such an easy thing to like drive people to like keep coming back to it, because you see it still, like people are still playing Fire Pro. People are still making new stuff in Fire Pro world, modded or not
100%.
modded, and it's like, because I only play the one that's on PS5, and like I still see new things come out. Like I saw like someone, what's that move? I saw someone make like the moves from like anime, from like a Kaneko man. I saw someone do,
Right.
and like I'm like, oh man, how is somebody getting all the time, getting all these active frames together and making sure it works within the game? It's like it's crazy
Yeah.
to me.
Like I've seen Orange Cassidy edits where he has all the different hands in the pockets moves.
Yeah,
You know, that's something that you got to go in and create frame by frame. That's generally not quite something that you can just splice a couple of animations together. That's something that you got to really put some work into.
yeah.
Uh, uh, Much love to the Fire Pro Wrestling community. They've been killing it ever since the early days
Oh,
when Fire Pro Wrestling Returns was on PS2.
yeah.
They've been active for a long time, and they will
That's
always have my respect.
It was even before that, man. It was for like Super Fire Pro Premium X for the when we used to use the
Mhm.
ZSNES emulator for Super Nintendo.
Yeah,
I remember like there used to be a Fire Pro Club back then, and I missed that website.
God,
Critical is cool. Critical is still cool, but it's not Fire Pro Club. I'm just saying.
I'll admit, I growing up, I kind of missed a lot of the forum stuff. I was kind of late to the party with Xbox Live, so I never really experienced the quote unquote glory days of stuff like Halo and Call of Duty lobbies,
Yeah,
and by extension, the days of like the forum days of SVR. But
yeah,
being able to go back and look at that through a modern lens has been nothing short of incredible.
yeah. You kind of, cause like there, like I was saying, like you can find community and everything. And you know what's kind of funny is a lot of guys that are in the Fire Pro modding community, they never watched
Hmm.
a second of pro wrestling. There's a lot of guys in the community that never watch pro wrestling, and
Right.
that's funny to me, because Fire Pro is often lauded as like, oh, it's a difficult game to get into. They're only 2D sprites, but like it's one of the deepest games you could play. And yeah, sorry to go on that
Absolutely.
aside, man.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I'll continue with the stuff you were talking about, the depth of Fire Pro.
yeah,
It was one of those games that popularized the ability to go in and even edit the AI, the computer's tendencies to do certain moves, the CPU logic. That was something
yeah,
that Fire Pro pioneered. We talk about King of Colosseum. That's another feature that King of Colosseum has. But where was it first? That's right, Fire Pro.
yeah. You get
And Hell,
Yeah,
even 2K is picking up on it now. I believe in 2K25, the most recent game,
yeah,
now you can go into create a moveset and adjust the tendency for certain moves in that game. So it really cannot be understated just the amount of impact that Fire Pro Wrestling as a series has had on the wrestling game landscape.
yeah.
I can't think of any other games outside of a handful of Japan exclusives that allowed you to edit characters so early on
Yeah.
in the
It
history of
was
wrestling games.
it's like was literally I think it was on the Amiga system or something like that. Not Amiga, well like
Yeah,
something like that, like where you could go in, edit the thing and then whatever. And like they have like the yeah man, it's a pretty cool series to dive into. Available right now
mhm.
on PSN, on Xbox Live, on Switch. I don't think it's on Switch actually. It's available
Yeah,
on
no, it's
Steam
not
Deck.
on Switch.
Steam Deck. It's all on that. I suggest this game for people who have a love for pro wrestling because there's no other game you can play besides Fire Pro and King of Colosseum 2, which to me, King of Colosseum 2 is the greatest wrestling game there is. Nothing else you can play to simulate a real match and a real crowd, and oh man, King of Colosseum 2 is, even though like graphically it's not really that great, or it's the gameplay, the psychology of using, and then the different kinds of crowds that you're wrestling in front of to get like the 100%.
Right.
When I give match ratings, I give the percentage. I don't like doing the 5 stars, 4 stars, whatever kind of 10 out of 10 scale, because for me,
Mhm.
um, I like using the percent because
Yeah.
of the games like Fire Pro and King of Colosseum, because like it's more accurate for me. Like, hey, I give this match like, I don't know if you watched this, like Takeshi the Osprey from like a couple from like 2 weeks back, right? I gave that like,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
for me that was like a 90% match.
Yeah. And hey, didn't Takeshita and Osprey's first ever singles match in AEW was against Takeshita
Yeah,
at the same Revolution pay-per-view where
that
Sting
you,
had that retirement match. So
yeah,
that was another match I saw live.
yeah, and like, see, man, look at what we're having here. We're having a, it's it's called a weird connection that we're having, and we're having a weird brainwave thing, and like everything's like all commingling, and that's cool, man. That's so
Yeah.
cool. Um, I know you were listing like a bunch of like deathmatch wrestlers earlier,
Mhm.
but do you have top 5 wrestlers?
Uh, on that note of deathmatch guys, I I'm always going to give my props to Mick Foley because of
Okay.
how versatile he was. He was in literally the land of the extreme, and he was able to wrestle a style that slowed things down, was less violent, and was able to have a really good heel character off of that.
You know,
Mick Foley's in my top five. I'd say. Oh shoot! Now that I'm actually having to think about it. Um. Well, yeah. There's Mick Foley. Um. Colby Carino at the moment. That's a guy I've seen a couple of times live.
all right,
He's another guy who can really wrestle any style and thrive in it.
all right, that's cool, man.
Um, God, it's tricky to put together a list like this because it really changes by the day.
Yeah,
So I'm trying to think of like who can I say now to where I won't go 5 minutes later and think, damn, I should have listed, what's his name instead.
I mean,
But
I know you kept saying Dr. Redacted, John Kasai, Sick Nick Mondo. I
I mean,
yeah,
Nick Mondo would be another one of those. Just because he was a guy who, like you mentioned, the term garbage wrestling associated with a lot of guys who maybe the only way they could get a reaction was through violence. Sick Nick Mondo was a guy who was
he was an
very
excellent.
technically sound in the ring.
He was an
All the
excellent
violence,
in ring. The violence was just an accentuation of his style. He
Precisely.
he could go in there with a Brian, Zack Saber, you name it,
Hmm.
TJP. He could go in there, have that kind of match, have no weapons, fine. He'd be perfectly fine, perfectly good at that. But
Hmm.
when he adds the elements of the danger, you people sleep on him, man. Just like they slept on Mick Foley, because Mick Foley is more than just the Hell in a Cell. But people see him
Hmm.
as just a stunt man, and just
Right.
yeah, man. Because you know, like
Eh,
people always want to tell you things about like, no, the rest of your life is garbage because like blah blah blah. But you know what? Necro Butcher had that match with Samoa Joe, and they didn't. They it was one of the most violent matches I've ever seen, and they used zero weapons, and there was no blood.
oh yeah, and we talk about Necro Butcher versus Samoa Joe. There is a match that I saw recently, and I know that when we were going over the notes for the show, that's one of the questions you wanted to ask of my favorite match
Yeah,
of all time. For
yeah.
the longest time, it was that, but there's this match that I just heard about through Twitter. Give me one second. I'm pulling up the name of the guys on my phone because I don't remember it off the top of my head. Yuki Ishikawa versus Daisuke Ikeda. I
Oh,
believe this was a
yeah.
match in Battle Arts.
Oh,
Um, you're
yeah.
familiar with it?
Yeah. They so Daisuke Ikeda and I just watched this like 2 months ago. So
Right.
there's like there's there's a palpable thing in there where they're throwing like, was it leg kicks at each other? And then there's oh man, that
There's a
match,
couple spots in that match where
yeah.
one of the guys just took a kick straight to the skull.
Yeah, and you there's no leg slap bullshit. It's a
Hmm.
literal like you hear the you hear like the thud of like the foot to head. And yeah, man, it's a sick match. Check it out. I think they have
Yeah.
it on YouTube. They have it on Daily
It's
Motion.
on Daily Motion. That's where I saw it.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
lot
man.
of people sleeping on Daily Motion. You can find a lot of stuff on there that you can't find on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's where I go to watch Dark Side of the Ring. Personally, uh, is Daily Motion.
Yeah, yeah, man. So
Oh shoot! While we're on the topic of Japanese fights, I forgot. I think it was billed as a life or death match between Yuji Nagata and Kensuke Sasaki. That's another one that I've seen on
yeah,
Daily Motion.
that's the one where Yuji finally goes over Kensuke, and
Right.
yeah, it.
God, what a match.
You want to talk about two guys who go in there, and those are two guys that, from people my age who grew up on WCW, would be very familiar with too. I I remember like because of seeing them on WCW, and
Mhm.
like during like 1999, that's when I finally got the internet at home, and I was able to follow them, like follow New Japan as it was happening, and like seeing like Kensuke versus Kawada live on Real Player. You weren't alive for this.
Unfortunately, not, but I can
Yeah,
go back and watch it.
yeah.
Honestly,
Look up Kensuke versus, if you like Kensuke, because I know like everybody knows the matches for Kensuke. Is Kensuke and Kobashi. There's Kensuke versus well, both Kensuke and Kobashi matches. There's the Kensuke versus Minoru Suzuki match for the Triple Crown. There's oh man, that's one of my guys. But yeah, man,
hell,
it's sick that you can go back. You have the options to go back. Everybody now has the options to go back and watch greatness for free. And before
exactly.
and like I think like nowadays we kind of take that for granted. And like like people complain. A lot of people complain about
Right.
like what's on their TV. It's not giving them what they want. So
I
like
mean, if I was growing up when you were growing up, I would not have the same access to the things that I have now.
yeah.
The tape trading culture is something that I missed out on, but I keep hearing a lot about it.
Oh yeah.
Of, you know, nowadays there'll be matches from guys you've never even heard of uploaded in 1080p 60 frames a second,
Yeah,
right? There'd be times where you have to watch maybe 144p of Mitsuharu Misawa going at it in the Tokyo Dome.
yeah. We'd have
um
to find holy grail dubs of like,
right.
and like by the time I was doing it, we were getting VCDs
Mhm.
or. Or I did it like a little bit earlier because I also was like I loved Michinoku Pro growing up.
Right.
But one time I got sent a tape and it said Michinoku Pro on it, and then when I put the
Mhm.
tape in, it was actually some hentai movie. So on that day, I learned what hentai was.
I'm
I,
surprised you didn't know about it before.
I was like 13, and then like I put the tape in because it was like one of the Fukimen, that's like the masked men
Yeah.
tournaments. I thought it was, and
Mhm.
nope. It was this special movie called Twin Dolls. If you want to look it up on Google, go ahead.
Right.
I don't recommend it
And
for anybody
if
under
we're
the age
getting
of whatever.
if we're getting too off topic, just let me know. But 13 was around the age that I discovered porn as well. I remember very distinctly.
Oh, I
20
just I discovered porn.
2020.
Oh, 2020. Oh, that's when you
No, no,
started.
no. I was not 13 in 2020. Let me make this clear. But 2020, I remember this more. I remember this more distinctly than I remember 9/11. Mostly because I wasn't alive for 9/11. But
That's a good one, bro.
on a day in 2020, Pornhub got rid of every video from unverified accounts. I'm sure you remember this, Doc.
Yeah.
I'm sure you remember this as clear as day.
Baba, stop.
Because, God, what a dark day that was. I remember it feeling akin to the burning of the Library of Alexandria. We lost a lot of good stuff that day. Um,
Definitely.
there was some good stuff on there. I remember one time I found the Spanish dub of Deadpool 2 on X videos. You
Huh.
know, yeah, the dogs are out. Shout out to Braun Breaker.
Yeah, hold on, man, hold on.
All good.
And we're back. Um, so I love this man. And it's really great to be able to talk to somebody so passionate about this, somebody
Yeah,
who hasn't become so cynical about this. I was going into this a little bit about like how nowadays you hear people complaining about like whatever is in wrestling right now, it's not giving them what they want, but there's so
and
much.
that's the thing that I'll
Go ahead.
never understand. I sorry to interrupt you again,
No.
but that's the thing I'll never understand about people who complain about, okay, this pro wrestling company isn't giving me what I'm looking for. The fact of the matter is, there is so many companies out there that will give you exactly what you're looking for.
Yes.
I've been procrastinating on it for the longest time, but quite frankly, I need to watch more TJPW. To be honest with you,
Hey man,
Tokyo Joshi Pro.
you talk about 2020 when you find Camille, when you find Wakana, you can follow them on
Hmm.
Instagram.
Right.
Miyu Watanabe. Oh man, these are talents that I think like, especially Miyu is someone that could be seen by the larger audience and become like a megastar. Too bad. Well,
Right.
and like that's just something to think about.
Wrestling's such a vast world that
Yeah,
even if like I mentioned, when I was really growing up around during some times when WWE, quite frankly, wasn't that good. The fact of the matter is that there was great stuff happening outside of it. All you got to do is look for it. And in this modern day of the internet being what it is now, it has never been easier to find something that you will enjoy.
yeah,
So if people will just look for it, it can be found. And that's part of what I try to do with King of Colosseum. Currently I'm working on making WWE guys in it. I've been posting work in progress screenshots to the Discord of like Cody Rhodes and The Rock and Roman Reigns, because I want to get more people who maybe are fans of the WWE. I want to maybe expand their palette, expand their horizons a bit more,
Yeah,
because it's such a vast world that there's always going to be something out there for you to enjoy,
yeah,
past or present.
yeah. I'm always of the mind that you gotta keep. Even though in the 2000s all I ever did was shit on TNA,
Hmm.
and a lot of people did, is like you gotta
Right.
keep your mind open to what what's out there, and like there's always some good stuff out there, whether it be like Defy. If you're even looking at the indies, there's like Defy, there's DPW. Deadlock is like it's a
Hmm.
good show. It's like, and they even they're it's not even like a super indie-rific show. They tailor it to be like a TV show, and it's real good stuff.
And a lot of my opinions on pro wrestling are what they are because the philosophy I have for those opinions extend beyond the world of wrestling itself. There's a lot of people who complain about modern country music. A lot of the modern country music that you hear
Yeah,
being just, tailor made to pander to the audience. I know Bo Burnham did a whole sketch about that through the form of song.
yeah,
A lot of people complain about the modern state of country music. Lord knows I'm no different. I can't stand modern country music outside of maybe Shabuzi. But you start looking into the more niche stuff. Me personally, I'm a huge fan of Harley Poe. I don't know if you've heard of him,
hmm.
but he's really good.
All right, I'm
Um,
gonna check them out.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man. So when I get
There's
dinner,
always something. There's always something out there for people. I want to say
yeah,
this to anyone who's listening. There's always going to be something out there for you. You just have to be willing to look for it.
yeah, and like when I get dinner, I always look for variety, especially
Hmm.
when it comes to dessert. And when it comes to dessert, what are your favorites? What's your favorite sweet thing to?
Cookies and cream ice cream. I fucking
Um,
love cookies and cream ice cream.
that's good, man. I love cookies and cream ice cream. Um, and that goes on to say, man, thank you for coming on to my show.
Hmm.
This talk has been very eye-opening for me. I am very excited for the future wrestling fans. Um,
Oh, wait, we missed something. I'm looking at the notes right now. We missed something.
what do you miss?
Question number 7, bullet point number 7. Are you in the closet as a wrestling fan or are you out and proud? I will say this now. I'm not in the closet about nothing because, quite frankly, why should I be? I'm
Hell yeah.
openly pansexual. I'm openly a wrestling fan.
Hell yeah.
I'm openly all these things because there's so many great things to share about that,
Hell yeah,
about
brother.
being a wrestling fan.
Hell yeah.
Another match that I don't think I got the chance to mention yet, Kenta versus Ricky Marvin. There's a 3-minute match between those two guys.
Oh,
There's so much stuff packed into those 3 minutes
one of the
that
best.
anybody who's on the fence about becoming a wrestling fan, I always just send them that match.
Oh man.
Because in this age, with TikTok, with Instagram Reels, with the little Subway surfers in the bottom half of the screen, people's attention spans are lower than ever. So seeing a match that's literally 3 minutes long, the amount of stuff that's packed into that 3 minutes, it there's no reason not to watch that match.
It's excellent, and the go to sleepy hits and the way that Ricky takes that and like he like does a foot and like it's just everything is so
Yeah,
I miss that Kenta. But you can't you can't he's still all right now, but when you go back and
yeah,
watch it, it gives you like this feeling of you're watching something special.
right.
And um did you want to go ahead and tell people where they can find your stuff?
You can find me on Instagram on my personal account at bootleg.braincells. You can find me on Twitter at it's bootleg with the O's being zeros and the E in that being a 3. It's underscore B00TL3G. You can find me on Discord at bootlegbrain. You can find me in real life if you go out into a cave and shout my name into it 3 times and wait for the echo. You know, you can find anything with enough commitment.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure. Yeah, man. I'm excited
Hell
for
yeah.
I'm hoping that what you're wanting to do in life. I'm hoping that happens for you, man. I'm hoping that
Yeah,
when you
man.
chase your dream, you catch it.
Uh,
And I'm here and I'm rooting for you. I wanted to tell you that I'm rooting for you. And yeah,
mhm.
man, I'm gonna check out more of your mods
Uh,
on the forums, man, on the Discord, man.
yeah, yeah. I ran the numbers through a calculator of like hourly wages and stuff, and honestly, next paycheck, I'll be using that to get insurance back on my car. I'll be using that to get all the inspections, all that good shit. And then the paycheck after that, that's what I intend to use to start actually training.
All right, man. Okay, I want to say again, like, thank you for coming on. I
Hmm.
appreciate you, man, and I'm rooting for you 100%. Uh,
Hell yeah.
yeah, thanks, man.
It's been an honor. Season 2, baby. Let's go.